Good morning, and thank you for joining us on this special edition of Truth of the Matter, the Untold Story, Election Truths. And I have two amazing guests in the audience, I'm in the studio today that would love to share with the audience their experience as candidates for various office that they were attempting to apply, that they applied for, but were interestingly enough, you will hear their testimonies. I don't want to give anything away. I know that Miss Deirdre Gilbert is here because she did apply for governor, and she's going to share with you this process that she experienced and the steps that she did take, which is very sad to admit that the outcome was not so favorable. Also, I have in the studio Mr. Avery Ayers, who was also a candidate for Justice of the Peace. So, without further ado, let me bring Miss Gilbert in first and then Mr. Avery. Hello, ma'am. How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. It
Uh,
is bright and early, but it's a beautiful day outside.
yes, it is. It is such a beautiful day. And I'm so glad that you're here, not under these circumstances, but nevertheless, the public needs to hear what you experience. And I've known you in our previous arenas of the nonprofit world. I know that you're more than qualified for the candidacy of governor. And it's so unfortunate that we're here today to discuss those things.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
so
you.
welcome. So, Deidre, without further ado, just share with the audience what your experience was like in your applying for the governor position.
Well, it was quite different because, this is a statewide position. So I ran in 2018 on a local level or per se county level for just the peace. But within when I ran for that particular race as well, I found some discrepancies per se and some things that were being allowed within the parties that allowed other candidates to get on ballots. So I have been around politics for over 40 years. My mom was in politics. And so uh, I thought, let's say, that I knew the ins and outs. I knew that politics was dirty. I knew that, it was going to be a fight, but I knew it was something that had to be done. And
Yes.
so what I was finding out is that there were laws and things that were put in place that were supposed to be followed. In the state of Texas, um, I'm going to say, this is a two-party state. And for me, I had attempted to run as a Democrat, but immediately I was told that I was not a viable candidate, simply meaning in their minds that they were more focused on someone who could raise a lot of money. And that was what they consider a viable candidate, how much money one can raise in a race. And
Wow.
I think that it's a little bit more than that, or it should be anyway. And so I attempted to do that, paid my filing fee. And as soon as I started, the party just didn't want me. And it became a
Wow.
suppression campaign of my
Mm,
press releases, just a lot of stuff that
yes.
suppressed me as a candidate, putting out fake polls and literally just blocking me out where people could not even see that I even existed.
Wow.
So 3 days before the deadline was over, I decided to become an independent candidate,
Mhm.
hoping and thinking, you know what, maybe this is a better route. Now, there is no independent party. So this is one of the big issues or one of the major obstacles for independent candidates is because we don't have that uh, background or we don't have the backing, we don't have the backbone or that party that can give you a little bit, give you money or assistance, resources like the two-party system. So it's almost like you're really on your own,
Mhm. Mhm.
trying to do something and make a change. And so it was within this independent race that I found out that there was a lot of differences between an independent and what they call the two-party system, which is Democrat, Republican. And you also have Green Party and Libertarian Party that they don't really, they don't even acknowledge that, right?
Wow.
So as an independent candidate, we don't have the same laws, or I'm not going to say the same laws, but we don't have the same guidelines as a two-party system. So they make it very difficult for us as independent candidates to get on the ballot. And so as an independent for governor, we were told that we had to get 85,000 signatures when the major candidates only needed 5,000 signatures.
Wow.
Major candidates could also pay a filing fee. Independent candidates, they would not allow us to pay a filing fee. Now, I had already paid a filing fee as a Democrat, and they did not give me that money back, but they didn't care. That wasn't what it was. So there was a whole lot of different, they call it the Texas election codes. So it wasn't until we had to actually go to court that we found out that there were laws. Because when I applied, there was like a one sheet. They gave us like a 1-page guideline. And basically it just says that we had to give 85,000 signatures plus and file an application. Okay. Wow. Now that application, we had to do pretty much everything with major candidates. When they filed at the very beginning of the stage, we had to do the same thing that they did. However, we couldn't do anything until after the primaries. We couldn't go get signatures. We couldn't do anything till after the primaries. And then if there was a runoff, we couldn't do anything till then. So here's the problem that I occurred or that I encountered. So we knew we had been going around trying to figure out how is it that we're going to make this work, because we only had less than 45 days to manage to acquire 85,000 signatures. You know, that's simply impossible.
Yes.
You're just not going to be able to do it when you know that those the other candidates were able to do it as soon as they hit the road running. So that's discrimination all the way around, because we're having to sort of do things. So I'm talking to people, we're trying to see how we're going to be able to do things. And we realized that it was going to cost about $1 million to even obtain this. And even if we did get it, we were like, the team, we were looking and we were like, okay, so if we get the 85,000 signatures, is it going to still matter? Because by this time, I'm doing a lot of research, and we're researching and we're finding that many candidates, not just in Texas, but all across the states, were being pushed off the ballot based on these petitions that they were presenting. So I was trying to figure out, well, what was the connection between petitions and what was so magnificent, or what was so major with these petitions, where we found out that the petitions was what they were using to keep candidates off the ballot.
So let me get this straight. What you were working so diligently to obtain was actually to set you up to be disqualified, versus what you were allegedly led to believe, that this is going to assist you in being placed as a candidate on the ballot.
Well, let me put it like this.
Okay.
I'm going to say that they used it for busy work.
Okay.
Sort of. It's sort of like, we're going to do this, but after they complete it, it's not really going to matter. Okay. Wow. Or we're going to use this and we're going to use this against you. Now, I'm going to say that when President Obama ran for his first stint in politics, I think it was for Senate or something like that. And he used this strategy where he used petitions to get his candidates off the ballot, and ended up being unopposed. And so it's a strategy. It's more of a strategy than it is a necessity. Okay.
Absolutely.
And
I
so that's
understand.
what it is. It's more of a strategy to use to keep candidates off the ballot. And so what we found out later was, as we were going through this process,
Mhm.
we found out that there was a bill that Greg Abbott had passed in 2017. And it simply says that that nominating petitions did not have to be reviewed for validity unless someone challenged it. So my question then began, we started asking, well, what do we need them for if you don't need to look at them for validity? Okay, so you don't really need to check them for validity unless someone challenged them.
Mhm.
So in your mind, you're trying to figure out, well, why do I even have to go out here, spend millions of dollars if
Yes.
once we turn these things in,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't matter. You don't even have to look at them unless someone challenged this, right? So here we are, and I'm saying, okay, well, let's do this. Since we already know we're not going to get 85,000 signatures. I
Yes.
knew the law says that because when I ran in 2018, we found out that the election authorities did not have the power to keep people off the ballot. Okay,
Mhm.
so they can't kick you off the ballot. The Republican Party, Democratic Party, the I'm going to say your county or any of these people, they just don't have the power. They don't have it. However, they were using the power that they didn't have. And this is where
Mm.
it came in. They were,
Exercising rights that they really legally did not have, but
no,
they were allowed, or let's
right.
say the system was permitting them to do so.
Yes. And allowing them to, and I'm going to say they have been doing this so long that many candidates probably just didn't even know that they were kicked off these ballots without legal uh, documentation from a court of
Mhm.
law. So if the law tells you that you don't have the power,
Mhm.
then the Secretary of State, when I turned in my application, because you have two things, and that's another thing, the Texas Election Code just simply says that if you turn in an application with your petitions, then it becomes one. So my question is, whenever you say if, now remember they gave us a one pager, right? And on the one pager, they told us we must.
Wow.
On the law, though, the law that was written says if. It
Mhm.
didn't say anything. And then there was no uh, punishment that was
No
given
punishment.
if you did not, right? There was nothing. So when we decided, okay, you know what? We're going to have somebody challenge us.
Yes.
We're not going to get 85,000 signatures. I'm going to turn my application in. And that's what I did without petitions. Now, prior to this, I guess I'm going to say probably just a month ago, actually, we had found a Supreme Court ruling that simply stated, and this was even before this ruling came out, that I found out that, again, that they didn't have the power.
Wow.
And the only way that they can keep a candidate off is by what they call a declaration of ineligibility.
Mhm.
And guess what? Who has to file that? The opposing parties. The
Ah.
opposing parties, let's say you're running against me. You find out that I didn't turn in my petitions, then what you would do, you would file a complaint in the district court, and then you would give that complaint to the Secretary of State and say, look, we want to keep this candidate off the ballot because she did not give her signatures.
Wow.
That never happened. So what I received from the Secretary of State was a letter. And they sent me a letter, and the Secretary of State themselves said, you didn't turn in petitions, you will not be on the ballot. It wasn't from an opposing candidate, it was from them. It
Ah.
was supposed, and it was only supposed to be a rejection letter. Now, here's another game that they played, and it was just the craziest thing because there is dates that they have to follow.
Mm, 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 mm.
They have dates that they have to follow. So August the 26th was the deadline that they have to declare anybody ineligible. So from July to August the 26th, it's like 45 days that you're simply in rejection stage. Now, the
Mm.
candidate doesn't know that they're in rejection stage because you received a letter, right, from the Secretary of State just simply saying you will not be on the ballot. We
Wow.
found out later that that's not true. You're actually only in rejection stage because the Secretary of State only has the power to review and reject. And then someone else has to complain. You
Mm.
get it? So
Absolutely.
we're in rejection stage. So I get this
Wow.
letter. I'm going back and forth with the Secretary of State, and they're simply not going to follow the law. So I ended up having to file the thing in court, in district court. And the only reason why I knew what to do is because I met Avery, who is
Mhm.
on the line now,
Yes.
with another candidate, Vince Duncan, who had ran against another Sheila Jackson Lee. And this is what happened to him, where the same exact thing happened, where he filed his thing. And because they did not want him to run against that particular candidate, they chose to keep him off. He went to court and the judge ruled. Now, I had a different scenario because
Mhm.
these people worked real hard, and I'm going to say criminally,
Yes.
behind the scenes to get judges, the clerks, and everybody was working together doing illegal things. And I mean illegal to the point where we had clerks that were changing my court date, clerks that changed my courts.
Hmm.
Once I got the judge who refused to sign on the final order, knowing that without a final order, that once I got to the appeals court, that the appeals court was going to dismiss my case because
Yes.
of lack of jurisdiction. I mean, it was a lot that they were doing. The judges were, I even had, once I got to the appeals court, where we thought we were safe, and that the Office of Attorney General, who is now they're the legal team for
Yes.
the Secretary of State. So here's what they did. They simply, the clerk sent a letter, and on August the 30th, there was a date set for what we call motion to dismiss. Now I'm in appeals court and I'm saying, oh, we safe. We don't have to worry about the district court because they no longer have jurisdiction, right? So because we're in appeals court, not
That is
what
so.
happened.
Wow.
The attorney and the Office of Attorney General, he lied to the judge that day and told the judge that my case had been dismissed
Oh my goodness.
when my case had not been dismissed. In fact, he sent the attorney a letter on letterhead, was never signed by a judge, but this letter says it was a denial. But I didn't see this thing until at 5:30 after the court was done. The judge decided she was going to go ahead and rule. She ruled against me. At 5:30, do you not know, her attorney CCs me, asked the Office of Attorney General to send her the denial letter. And guess what? He turns around and tells her, Judge, I'm sorry that I was unclear. It wasn't a dismissal. It was a denial. And guess what? It never was a denial either, because
Never.
no judge had ever signed off on it. And she ruled anyway. So I send them the final order again. Sign this order. And, since you just found out that this attorney has lied to you, you ruled when you knew you didn't have jurisdiction, you have to sign this order to simply tell Secretary of State they cannot keep me off the ballot. Guess what she did? She shut the case down and closed it.
After she received the corrected information.
Yes. So I filed with the Supreme Court. And that's when we got in the Supreme Court, hoping that the Supreme Court would rule in my favor, since just a month ago, they had already ruled that the Secretary of State did not have power to do what they were doing.
Wow.
And the Supreme Court decided that they were not going to even look at my case. And then we find out that 6 of those judges had been appointed by Greg Abbott or had
Mm.
worked for him. So guess what?
They ruled in
They
against you.
they just didn't rule at all. They decided not to
Wow.
rule. But this is the crazy part, because they're claiming that they never had jurisdiction, but they keep having me to write stuff. And I keep saying, well, why do we have to file briefs, or why do we have to file for a rehearing if you've already claimed that you didn't have jurisdiction? So
Mm.
we filed, or I filed a motion to void all of what they were doing, because
Yes.
everything that they had done from the district court all the way up to the Supreme Court is voided, and actually is fraud when you
Yes.
find out that a judge
Absolutely
never
it is.
ruled. The judge
Yeah.
never ruled.
Wow.
And we caught them in the act. And guess what? Because the Secretary of State, because the Office of Attorney General, because the Texas Elections Commission,
Hmm.
uh, all of these are under the governors.
Wow. Unbelievable.
So it's unbelievable.
Yes, it is. And it's clearly an injustice. It's clearly illegal processes that are in place that are not actually officially in place, but have
Mm-hmm.
been practiced for a while. Um, right here, I want to bring in Avery. I want him to add to what it is that he's experienced as well. But hearing your story, and I actually was present to hear the ruling, well, not the actual ruling of the judge,
Yeah.
but your presentation to the judge, and to know that I heard that, I witnessed it myself as a citizen. It was really a sad day for me, because it let me know as a citizen that my rights can be um,
Right.
not honored and restricted by the desire to just simply misinterpret things or misrepresent, because that attorney intentionally presented it to her, and even after she received the truth,
Yes.
still had opportunity to correct that.
And
So
she did.
let's, yeah, and
And
she
let me
did.
say one more thing
Oh,
before I
please.
let, and it's real quick, but
Okay.
what's really crazy is that there were several other candidates that were placed on, that they allowed to put on the ballot, that that filled out applications or whatever after the deadline,
Mm.
underneath the, just so there were people who nobody ever voted for that will be on the November ballot.
Wow.
And they were independent candidates. Some of them were independent candidates, and some of them were not, who were just literally put on the ballot, and nobody's going to do anything about it because they did it because they can.
Because they can.
Mhm.
And actually, in listening to what I hear you say today, and then of course, let me stress this to the listening audience. I was present listening while it was live, with what she presented to the judge, the attorney's presence that she mentioned, and everything that she just stated. I can be the witness to say I witnessed this for her, and she presented her case well. I really left the courtroom myself with the mindset that, hey, she did a well written presentation. Verbally, you had presented yourself, your case, and I really left like, maybe this is an opportunity for them to see that there is some injustice, and to hear the outcome. It's just, I'm outraged by it. It's
Mhm.
really a sad day for us as citizens, that we are told that we are the people that have the right to speak, the freedom of speech, but yours was stagnated. Yours was removed from you. Your rights were stripped,
Right.
and obvious games were played.
Yes.
Obvious games.
Hmm.
Yes. So we just create the laws as we go, right? Is that the new wave?
Yeah. We create them, but again, that law that he wrote, that Senate Bill 44, which
Yes.
was an amendment, that actually wasn't for me to really find
Mm.
out what that loophole was. I actually found the loophole and used it, which was the law. And they
Yes.
were upset that I used what they wrote to uh to make them, do the right thing. However, they were determined that was not going to happen, and they
Wow.
did exactly what they said they were going to do. They were going to keep my name off this ballot,
Wow.
no, and even if they have to break the law, and this was in writing from one of the
Right.
attorneys at the Office of Attorney General who sent me, because I asked him, I said, are you going to break the law? And he says, I told you, you will not be on that ballot.
Oh, so let me ask you something about a current candidate that is currently on the ballot, is running clearly, Beto.
Mhm.
What about his paying of fees, which is the law?
He didn't pay his filing fee. So what I did is, because remember I told you in 2018, this happened in that election where candidates were allowed to get on the ballot without paying filing fees or without turning in petitions. So I had a little bit more prior knowledge than most candidates did. And so
Mm-hmm.
this is what we asked for. When we asked for those particular pieces of evidence, we were given the front of the check that was supposedly Beto had paid, but they would not give us the back of the check, saying it did not exist. Now,
Mm.
I don't know how it doesn't exist, simply saying that they didn't want us to know, so anybody can type up a front of anything, but you want to see the back because the back will show you that this particular check had gone through the bank. And it did not. We asked for the Abbott said that he had given 10,000 nominating petitions. But you have to understand what that law just says, what I just told you, that,
Mm-hmm.
we can give it to you, but guess who's looking at his petitions? The Republican Party, right? So basically, they are having this, option to look
Mm-hmm.
at it or not. And they can look at it if somebody's going to what? Challenge them. And guess what? If nobody challenged them, then guess what? I'm not going to look at them. So who's asking the question, did you pay your filing fee? Did you turn your signatures in of these big supposedly candidates? And nobody's asking
Yeah.
those questions. And
And
these
no one
people
is
are allowed to
asking.
get on the ballot without doing what they're supposed to do. But
Mm-hmm.
then they're asking us to abide by the law when in fact they're not doing it.
Wow. So here's what we have, and I did a disclaimer so everyone will know that everything that you're stating is public record so that you
Mm-hmm.
can go and do your due diligence to check this information out. She is just not here today on the Simply Free Little Talk sharing with you just what her opinions are, her thoughts are. I stated again, I'll restate it. I was present by video conference to watch and observe what occurred in the courtroom. Everything that she's stating is true. Now you can go for public records or you can request, as she did, to see the check. You could not see the back of the check that allegedly he filed his filing fees.
Mm-hmm.
Is this correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
Wow.
and everything was also, we filed with the Texas Election Commission. We filed
Mm-hmm.
complaints, 3 actually.
Three
We filed
complaints.
with the Office of Attorney General, complaint
Wow.
with them. I filed with the Federal Bureau of Investigations. We filed with Travis County District Attorney's Office, and
Mm.
we filed a complaint with the Texas Rangers. So all of those complaints are there. And so um, nobody can say that we didn't do our due diligence to try
Mm-hmm.
to get all the assistance and help. And then I had a former FBI agent who also was assisting me in this process of trying to get someone to step in and to help us, because this was election fraud. Uh,
Yes.
it's
Election
not
fraud, clearly.
this is election fraud all the way across the board, but nobody paid attention because in their minds, I was a nobody. I was just somebody just wanting to do something. But, this was not my first rodeo. And again, like I said, I had been in politics 40 years. I had seen this happen in
Mm.
local races. And so this is why I knew what to ask for in this election. And when I found out, they weren't ready for that.
Let me interject this. Now, since you are the type of individual that has integrity, that will do your due diligence to obtain information, you also discovered something concerning the donations.
Yeah, well, basically there, I was finding out that Act Blue is it's a Democratic platform. It's a
Mhm.
Democratic fundraising platform. The Republicans also has a platform called Win Red. And so basically it's just pretty much all of these donations go into that. And you're actually believing that these donations are going to the candidate of your choice. But in actuality, it's actually going to a big pool of you know, somewhere, and it's being throttled somewhere uh to do something. I mean, this is more likely real. It's deeper than we probably would ever imagine. I'm sure these tentacles of this type of stuff is just
Yes,
um
extensive.
more. Yeah, it's very extensive, and
Uh,
it's just going to take I'm going to say that I believe it may be RICO, a
mm,
RICO action. um but
wow,
it's going to
that's
take
huge.
them, not me, but it's going to take who we've filed these information to
Wow.
step in, because we're going to need federal intervention, because we can't continue to have organizations and entities like this just make decisions without on their own accord and not follow the law. What's the purpose of having law if you're not going to follow it?
If we're not going to, wow, this is just unbelievable. And I didn't want to disclose much in the initial introduction of you guys intentionally, because I want you to speak as you have so openly and candidly about the details of this process of applying. As we are rights as citizens in America, we have the right to submit our application for candidacy for any public office, governmental offices, which you did, and you qualify. However, you're shot down by just sold this red tape and created laws as you were along the journey.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you came on today, Deirdre,
Thank you.
just so that you can share this horrible experience, but also this lesson learned, that now others can get on the same bandwagon. Maybe this will open some doors that we can see, that others can have a little bit more understanding. As you said, your 40 years experience helped you to know what type of questions to ask.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to bring in Avery now, because I know that he can add to what you experience. Hello,
Yeah.
Mr. Avery. How are you doing?
Hey, good morning, Madam Governor. You're always my governor, Miss
Yes,
Gilbert.
yes. Caller.
Good
Hi.
morning, Bree.
Agree.
Huh?
Wow,
How's
good
everybody doing this
morning.
this
Oh
Saturday
my
morning?
goodness.
Well, I
Avery, what do
thank
you
you.
want to shed light on this
Well, the
situation?
thing is, when Miss Gilbert and I started going down this road, we expected the courts to do their due diligence. Okay,
Absolutely.
and I'm being a
Absolutely.
paralegal, so I'm in the
Yes.
court system every
Yes,
day,
he
and I'm
is.
seeing this. But when I saw it from a candidate point of view, which they gave me hell because of my deficiencies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to give it to Judge Sandow. Okay. And was it the 2/8, ma'am, I think it was in Houston,
Yeah.
Harris
Hmm.
County, gave me the benefit of that. But um, just taking Harris County to court, okay,
Mm-hmm.
revealed a lot of information for myself and Miss Gilbert.
Yes.
Okay. When Miss Gilbert talks about the applications and the petitions, okay, you have one and then you have the other. So when you merge them and turn them in, as Ms. Gilbert eloquently states, you're giving them
Yes,
the
you did.
ammunition, okay, to keep you off the
Giving the
ballot.
ammo.
All right. Well, I had been doing this since 2008. I didn't realize that they were playing this little tit for tat game with third
Mm-hmm.
party candidates.
Hmm.
And it upset me, it enraged me when Ms. Gilbert and I start talking and we start bringing up everything from the past, how we've been running, what they've been doing.
Wow.
So it opened my eyes to a deeper understanding. Okay, this is a real new game that they have started doing.
Oh yeah. And been getting away with it from what Miss
And been
Gilbert
getting
said.
away with it. I mean, think about it.
Wow.
When independent candidates are not allowed access to the ballot except through the application and the petitions. Imagine standing outside, myself and Vince. We stood outside the Juneteenth festival from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. collecting signatures.
Hmm.
Okay, Mr. Vince is running for District 18.
Yes.
All right, we collected well over what, 9 pages? That's 99.
Absolutely,
That's
guys
90
did.
names. Okay, on 9 different pages of petitions. Okay, so when we got the required number, all I needed was 500 for Justice of the Peace. Okay,
Hmm.
Vince needed a little bit more, which he did. He got almost 2,000. Okay, but when I turned mine in at the Harris County election department on Preston, okay, I gave them the application and the petitions. All right, through public record. Okay, they found out that yes, I am a felon. Okay, but it should not have stopped me from being on the ballot. So I was like, okay, based on the information that Ms. Gilbert had laced me up with concerning the election department, I said, let me take this a little bit farther so I can actually see for myself what's really going to happen. Well, when I filed the petition, not only for myself, but for Ms. Gilbert in Travis County and my petition in Harris County, we learned that at first they ignored us. Okay, they ignored our petition. They ignored our citation when they got served. But they didn't ignore us when I asked for an expedited hearing. That's when the clock started ticking for them. Well, during the hearing, the Judge Sandell asked Harris County, did Mr. Ayers turn in any petitions? Yes, he did, Your Honor. How many petitions did he turn in? How many names did he have? You know what the answer was? We don't know.
We don't know.
Didn't count them. So I had to tell the judge on the record, I turned in 673 names. 673 names, and you guys didn't count it? So this is an eye-opener for anybody. And I tell everybody, run as an independent candidate next year, and I will help you because these people do not follow their own laws. And
only when they're used against you,
correct,
that the laws will be used or implemented.
Correct. So what they did, once the judge was like, if y'all didn't count the petitions, then what is really going on in the election department? And then furthermore, I also informed the judge that Harris County was not supposed to be in this courtroom. The opposing candidate was supposed to be punishing Steve Dublin, who's the Democratic candidate for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1, Place 2, was supposed to be in that courtroom. And I said it 12 times to the judge that they need to recuse themselves.
So the names on the petition, Avery, were never counted. And they acknowledged that they did not know the number of names on your petition. So who is the person that's going to determine whether you're qualified or ineligible? I don't understand. That makes no sense.
That's where Ms. Gilbert comes in, because she was in the courtroom when he said that. So now there is a website on the Secretary of State's office, courtesy of Ms. Gilbert, because I never knew it existed. Okay. Yes. And what it does, it tells you if you're rejected, if you're eligible. Also, it tells you, and I recommend everyone is go to the Secretary of State's office, click on the election, click on the candidate's information. It's going to take you to another page that says candidate information. Put your county in there. By state law, everybody was supposed to turn in their paperwork on June 23rd, 2022 before 5 p.m.
Okay.
When you go into that public site, information. Yes, ma'am, it's public information. When they go into that site, and Ms. Gilbert will attest to this, there are people who turned in their petitions and application on July the 7th, June 27th, August 15th. Okay? And this is in all 254 counties. So that tells me somebody's not doing their job in the election department. Or they're putting their friends in positions that no one had ran for. So now that Ms. Gilbert and I know this for a fact, and it's public information, I recommend to everybody, put your name on the ballot for next year. Run as an independent candidate, and I will help you.
Yes,
I will help
he
you
will.
because
He will
Miss
help
Gilbert,
you. He will help you. I
yeah,
can attest.
Miss
Yes.
Gilbert and I went through the fire, and it hurt me, and it really hurt me when I watched. And I remember telling Miss Gilbert, I said, "Now, when you file this petition, get ready,
Get ready.
Yeah.
get ready."
Get ready. Get
I told
ready.
her, "Get ready," because I went through it in 2014 with them. They're sore losers.
Ah.
The OAG and the SOS are sore losers. They do not like to lose. So when Miss Gilbert put her paperwork in, when she was supposed to have Judge Collins, I think it was, ma'am?
Connors.
Connors. And then they moved it to Judge Meacham, which is a violation of the law. You just can't,
Another violation.
because when you file something in the court, judges are picked randomly. That's the process. They're picked randomly. So they're not getting any family members, any financial people that they have dealings with. It's for a purpose. But when Miss Gilbert was informed that her judge had changed to Judge Meacham, it surprised me, because I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. How is that possible? And when we showed up to the Travis County courthouse that day, okay, we went straight to the courtroom. It was locked. But just to be on the safe side, because you never know. They'll tell you we're going to do Zoom, and then they're in the courtroom. So we did Zoom outside the courtroom door. And the judge stated, and Ms. Gilbert will back me up on it, "Oh, I thought we were supposed to be here for 15 minutes. That right there told me somebody had already influenced.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, there he is. He's back. He's back. Come on.
Okay.
Okay, there you are. I don't know what happened.
I'm sorry.
Go for it. No, go for it.
And when Ms. Gilbert stated on the record, I filed to protect my interests in my campaign. That's a legal term. Okay.
That's it.
The judge had to honor that request right then and there. She knew then, okay, we in for a long haul fight right here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As you should.
And Ms. Gilbert showed him up. I'm proud of her.
Oh, I'm very proud of her. As I stated, and I'll state it again because I want people to know, I personally witnessed this. She did an excellent job in presenting everything, all facts. You were present. I know.
I was there. I was laughing because the OAG office, they had sent the puppy to deal with Ms. Gilbert. Yeah.
They were not ready.
No, because they don't open and shut case. But when Ms. Gilbert started quoting their own election codes to them on the record, they knew then. They knew then, okay, we got a problem here. They got a problem.
Wow.
You know, and for it to go, it wasn't by law, by the statute of the election code. The opposing candidate, Greg Abbott and Beto, was supposed to be in that courtroom with her to oppose her campaign.
Yes. But
and it should have only took us 15 days.
15 days.
According to the law. And it took me 4 months?
Yes.
And they still actually have me sitting in a court of law
waiting,
and never ruled on the question of law. And the question of law was simple, was basically
very simple.
Did they have the right to keep me off the ballot? And the answer is no, not without a legal ruling from a court of law.
As well, and please add again what Avery just stated, and you did as well earlier. Your opposing candidates have never submitted their petition against you.
No.
At one time. It's nothing on file record in any court dockets at all.
Nothing.
So Governor Abbott, as well as Beto, they have not submitted anything against you being a candidate.
And they've never said anything about my complaints that we filed with the Texas Election Commission. They never responded.
Never.
So I always tell people, you know, if I was not telling the truth, they have the option of, defamation. But they know that I'm not telling, they know that I'm telling the truth. They know that they have documentation.
Yes.
And, and that is the whole problem is that they know the truth. They didn't want it to come out in this election. I was a threat.
Yes.
because people had literally embraced me
Mhm.
as a candidate. Matter of fact, we were just talking, me and Avery, the other day, and I was telling him that I met a lady at the park from Austin here in Houston. And
Mhm.
she was like, they have, they've been talking about a lady running for governor. We don't know where she is. And I said, I
She's
am
right
she.
here.
Right here.
And she
She's
said,
right
what?
here tonight.
I said, yes, ma'am, I'm the one. She said, well, people been
Wow.
asking and saying,
Mhm.
there's a lady running. Where is she?
Where is she?
And I
Only God.
couldn't, I really wanted to get out, but it costs money.
Yes.
And we were raising money, but it ceased once they thought that I was not in the race. People are not just going to give money if they think that you're not,
Mhm.
really there. So they never saw me. That was purposeful to keep me off the TV screen.
Mhm.
We did get some national news, uh, with CNN, what is that, Yahoo,
Yahoo News.
uh, yeah. So I did get some national news because I was one of several other Black females who were running for governor across the states. And it's a sad thing to tell you that many of those that started off with me were also abandoned by the party, uh, and not embraced and was not chosen. Matter of fact, they went and got a white female to run against the Black female.
Mhm.
Um, so that the Black female could not be on the ballot. I think we have 3 left, or maybe 4, uh, maybe 5. I think 5 Black females, but 2 of them were, 2 of them are independent, but they're in a different state. And guess how many signatures they had to get?
None.
25.
Oh, 25.
Yeah, 25.
Wow.
That's
25.
it, 25,
Wow.
not 85,000.
Oh my goodness. Oh
So
my
I think
goodness.
that there needs to be some sort of guidelines across the states.
Absolutely. It should.
Because it's so unfair. And Texas, they knew, and you have to ask yourself, why do they want the independent? Why do they, why is it so rough on the independent candidate than any candidate at all?
Mhm.
And they know that people there. I think they said over half of the
They
voting
can't be controlled.
population, 59% or something like that of the population who vote independent in the midterms. And that is what they were afraid of.
So here's the deal, what I see and what I've observed, as well as what I'm hearing today again, that needs to be overly emphasized to the community, that we need to be in tune, that we need to exercise our right to the legal system and do your due diligence. Read. I can't stress that enough, that you need to go and seek the facts. And this is just not this particular incident, but across the board, we need to stop being just people who do this, where that just talk and don't have facts, but we need to obtain the facts. Everything you're saying can be obtained through the court
Mhm.
system. This is
Yes,
public information. Avery said the same thing. This is public information. It's
yes.
not even hidden from us. It's in
Yeah.
our faces. What they say, up close and personal,
Well,
in our face. But
well,
who's doing their due diligence? Who's
it's
Well,
doing
like,
it?
elections are mostly identity politics. And
Yes.
so many of us, and I'm going to say probably myself,
Mhm.
and probably you too, when you were younger, somebody told you that this is the person to vote for. When
Absolutely.
we used to have the churches that used to tell us about our politicians, right?
Yes.
We would actually, whatever our pastors would say, hey,
Whatever they
this is a
said.
good candidate. We need to back that candidate. And that's what we would do. And so we
right.
never
Question.
truly question
That's correct. No
our
question.
systems here. And now we're getting to the point where, we need to question everything that is coming across the board, because if we don't change the trajectory of where we're going,
Mhm.
we are going right back to Jim Crow.
Mm.
And you already see it happening,
It's a
but
fast track. You're
it's
correct.
fast tracking.
Fast track.
And we definitely need to get something done, because our forefathers clearly stated that this was not their intentions.
Not
And they knew
No.
that. That was the reason for the Constitution. And they said, because the two-party system, if it remained the same, people get comfortable, and then as long and the longer you stay, the longer you stay in a the longer you stay in a
Yes.
position, the more, and I'm not going to say everybody, but the more you tend to want to indulge yourself probably in things that you shouldn't, because you're compromising.
Absolutely.
So I think what we have to do is there should be term limits.
I agree
Yes.
with that.
Yes.
Because we have to wrap it up. I have another Zoom meeting this morning, but I do, and I'm glad I gave you guys this
Thank you.
opportunity. This is an exclusive interview on
Thank you,
Simply Real
Avery.
Talk,
Oh,
where
you're
they
welcome,
are
ma'am.
bringing forth facts about the election truths, the untold story. It was early for me. I'm just waking up in the middle of the interview, but it was so good to do this for you guys, because now people get to hear what I have witnessed you deal with in 4 5 months, what Avery has dealt with several months. It's frustrating. It's frustrating when you support a candidate and you see their heart, you see the integrity, you see their drive to desire to bring a change, a positive change in your community or your city, your state. And to get this type of outcome it's outrageous. We should be enraged. But again, if we do not take the time to obtain facts, we're just a sitting duck.
Well, you're just an empty drum making noise.
Yeah, you're just an empty drum making noise. What do you always tell me, Avery, about the rabbit trail?
Oh yeah. Don't chase the rabbit down the hole.
Don't chase the rabbit.
Nah, you may get stuck.
You may get stuck.
That's right.
God! But this
to piggyback on that, what I do, I tell everybody, this is an election year. Okay.
Yes.
Since Ms. Gilbert's not on the ballot, okay, I'm going for the third choice. Straight down the ticket. I'm voting the third choice is down. Okay.
Wow.
Because that's number one. That's my vote. But I recommend to everybody, look at the third parties.
Look at the third parties.
Okay. Because if we get Greg Abbott a Beto out the race through a third party, do you know the significance of that? Ms. Gilbert's campaign would have knocked them out the box.
Yes.
Okay. Because remember, Harris County is the largest voting bloc in the state. Secondly, it's home to the largest African American community in the state of Texas. Okay. So it goes back to reading, know your candidates. That's why when Ms. Gilbert and I was campaigning events, we're out in the streets, we're talking to people.
Yes, yeah.
We don't see any of these people until it's time to be elected. They show up in our churches, they show up in our business, they show up at the park, they show up everywhere. But during the rest of the year, you don't see them.
A valid point that you just made, Avery, because we have candidates that's running in the Galveston County area of Texas. Let me state that. And what I admire about two of the candidates they're visual. We see them, we hear them, they're engaging with the community at different community events throughout the county of Galveston. That has been unheard of from previous candidates.
But ask them, what's their real agenda? What is your agenda for me to vote for you, for my community to get behind you? Because once they talk all that good babble, once they get in there, it's a new program in there for them to follow.
But here's what I want to say. Yes, and I understand, we've had this conversation, but this is what I love about these two individuals. They've already proven themselves prior to running for their current candidacy for Galveston County judge. Never had a man that looked like me in office. You know what I'm saying? In this particular, in 100 years. But he has proven himself. Pastor William H. King the third has proven himself by, just like yourself, Deirdre, 40 years, he has the same amount of time in, or even maybe greater regarding his military time, his time as a councilman. So he's not out here just talking something to get votes. He's actually put in the work. So we've seen him progressively over the years build up to be eligible, not just on paper, but in action indeed. And so
That's
I
good.
love that. And then we have Mr. Keith Henry, who's also served as commissioner for many years. So they are in awareness of what's going on. And I like to say awareness and alert, because I don't want to vote for someone who's not even aware of what's going on in their county or their
Mm-hmm.
state, their city. And so I know that you are aware, Ms. Gilbert. I know that Avery is very, like I say, he's the person that's boots on the ground. He's definitely
Gotta
boots
have
on the
them.
ground.
Gotta have them.
And but I want people like that. And the public needs to have candidates like yourselves that are boots on the ground, in tune with what's going on, you know, in your city, in your state. Because why would we vote for someone who
They don't
has
know
no
us. How you want me to vote for you when all you do is come and then you go to the outskirts of my community, but you never
Yes.
come in.
Mm.
Walk down them streets. I'm from
Yeah.
Carverdale. I grew up in Carverdale off of 290 in Gessner, a historical Black community. I have yet to see District 18 candidates, except one, Vince Duncan, is walked up and down them streets.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
I don't see Sheila. I don't see Carmen. I don't see the other Green Party member walking through. It's like
That makes a difference. It makes a difference. The candidates that I mentioned, they're visual, like I said, that's important to me. And they're you can reach them. They're personable. They're willing to answer the questions, like you said. What is their agenda? They're open with it, very open with what they're expected to do, what their intentions are is very crucially important. But again, Deirdre, I want to piggyback on something that you stated earlier, and this is so true. In the years of the old past days, we were just instructed who should we vote for. We were informed, well, this is the better candidate, but we never asked the question, why is this the better candidate?
Right.
What are they going to do to make a positive change or a difference in our communities? And that's the questions that we need to ask. And we need to look at the previous candidate in that current office and say, what have you done to bring positive change?
Right. Right. But then, you know, if you've been looking as we've been talking, right, many of these people were getting back in positions illegally.
Yes, yes,
you know, so they weren't actually voted in the way we thought. And so all of this stuff is coming out now in the wash, and we're going to be seeing some changes, or we're going to see some real people that people had trusted for years to do the right thing, and it just it never happened. Because again, like you said, they were willing to do and break the law to stay in power.
Wow.
And we have to have oversight, and that's going to be the main thing. We cannot have, you know, the governor has 100 or maybe 200 or 300 organizations that he appoints to. Wow, that's a lot, or even more. And he has the power. So basically, if he says yay or nay, who's over this? You know, we're talking about our health, our school systems, our prison systems, our educational systems, all of these systems, you know, even elections, that one person can just say, I don't want it to happen because I appointed you.
Absolutely.
And
I've seen it happen.
I don't think that the governor should be a part of any of this. We need to have independent committees here that oversee these
administrative offices that he appoints people to, is what they call.
Right, because we can't continue on this process. It's not we're not gonna make it. Like,
it's not effective. It's not effective in regards to us getting the positive outcomes. I believe in positive outcomes. What are the deliverables? We're not getting the deliverables. We're seeing any man do what they want to choose to do. I will say this because I recall when Bush came into office as governor, he just disrupted everything that Ann Richards had placed in position. Everything that was positive in the prison system. So what you just stated, Deirdre, I personally experienced.
Yes.
She had things in place in Texas for if you were a sex offender, you could get the treatment, the necessary treatment you need to be incarcerated. You were just not walking down the hallways freely, just doing whatever your time. You were, you were actually getting daily treatment. You were openly discussing, because I was one of the counselors. We were discussing, what is your problem? What is the root of this cause that, what's the root cause of your challenges? Why are you a pedophile? Why are you raping women at random? What is that about? But when Bush came in office, he just disrupted all of that. And the
because it was money to be made.
Well, even the public utility, the public integrity unit.
Yes.
When Rick Perry took that power away to make politicians and all of these other people accountable, our governmental officials, they took that away because they didn't want it. That needs to be put back in place. Nobody should have that kind of power at all.
I totally concur, because we had in Texas, we had a drug facility and an alcohol facility. And those camps were effective. Again, that was on the unit I worked at. I enjoyed when I had that interaction and counseling with those individuals, because now we just recently had an incident in Texas, right here in Galveston. And we have it in other cities as well, where someone's released from TDC. That issue was not addressed. They just did their time.
Yes.
So they come out in society and they're still a drug addict. They're still an alcoholic. And Richards had the right idea. But again, it's about who holds the power and how they execute. Yes.
Yes.
So
thank you.
Give us some wisdom nuggets. Thank you both. But give us some wisdom nuggets before you go of what things we can do as citizens to assist in the process of correction and change for the better.
Which one?
Just across the board, whatever your wisdom nugget is.
Well, wisdom nuggets to me is knowledge is power. That's one of the main things. Knowledge is powerful. If you don't know, if you don't read, like you said, we're going to have to be more cognizant of what's going on in our communities and who's doing what, when, and why. And just read. Take heed. Don't look at people because that you feel that they don't have what you think they have. Just think of David and Goliath.
Come on.
If it wasn't for the Davids in the world, where would we be? I'm just a David in the middle of many Davids, trying to make sure that things are right, And sometimes it's hard being a David, because
I know.
They just don't.
Yes.
But somebody has to fight. I got it honestly. I got it honestly. My mom is a fighter, so that's what I would say. Wisdom is just knowledge is power.
Yes, it absolutely is, especially when we apply what we know now. And this is a platform that people can come on and state the facts and be able to say what both of you can say. Hey, this is public record. You can check it out. Now, that's in Harris County. However, this is happening throughout the United States.
Correct.
You stated very crystal clearly that how many females started out with you, whether they were independent, Democrat, or Republican, but now they're no longer on the ballot, or they were never allowed or permitted to be on the ballot.
Right. Because they can't control them.
They cannot control.
They have their own mind. That's why I say we need to embrace the celebration of intelligence.
We do. And I love that. Say that again. We need to embrace the intelligence.
No, we need to embrace the celebration of intelligence.
Celebrate and embrace.
Yes, I totally concur. I'm a an avid reader, and I believe that that's the problem with us as people in society. We'll hear what someone else says, like you said, that old school mentality where it says, do follow my lead, do what I tell you to do. And so many people are shipwrecked, they're train wrecked because they listened to what someone else said, but did not ask questions, did not find out the facts. You must do your due diligence. You must.
You have to, or you're going to go back on that plantation. That's
Come
what's
on,
gonna happen.
come on. People are oblivious. Their mindsets and their focus is so many other places when they need to be knowing what's really going on. I'm just appalled sometimes at the conversations I have with people that the waste of time you're talking about something that's not even true. It's a fictional
Right.
comment or statement or
Yeah.
gesture, but you can just go and ask a question.
Time
And we're here today. You guys have given us some fuel today to
Thank
add
you.
to the fire, to do our due diligence and learn for ourselves the facts.
Thank
I
you.
want to say one
Thank
thing,
you
like I
both
said
so much.
earlier
Mhm.
in your program. If anybody's out there that want to run as an independent candidate for next year,
Say it.
let me know. Let me
Yes.
know. I'll help them.
He's the real deal. He's the real deal. Trust me.
But put your name out there. Give yourself a
Yes.
chance, because you might be the change that the people
You
might
may
be
be the
looking for.
change.
You
Yes.
never
Yes.
know.
You
You
never
never
know.
know.
You
Because
never know.
I don't know if you've seen the sample ballot, but I got a
Mm.
sample ballot for Harris County, my section, 338,
Yes.
383, I believe it is. And all the judges is either Democrat or Republican on it. There's no independent, no green, no libertarian.
Wow.
So we got to change that.
Mm.
Yeah. Because, as for the governor, it was 2006 was the last time, and that was with Kiki Freeman and Carol
Wow.
Strayhorn, right? But
That's right.
prior to that
Wow.
was 1876 that
1876.
an independent
Wow.
candidate was on the ballot. Yeah. We're talking about
Unbelievable.
1800s.
Yes,
1876.
yes,
Ooh.
I get it. But here again, I will say this until the last breath is taken from this body, and I will be that voice that says you need to get the facts. I choose not to open my mouth and say anything to Avery or to
Yes.
Deirdre, because I've worked with you in the past. Love you,
Yes.
love your spirit. Thank you so
Thank
much. I'm
you.
so proud of you and your endeavors. I really am. But let me just state this. If you do not seek facts, you
Yes.
will operate in a lie.
Yes.
And that amazes me that people can operate and act like the lie is the truth and treat you in such a manner, or to a, like you say, application of truth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And
Yes.
they operate under this
Because-
falsehood.
Well, you got to
When they
understand
can get
something.
the facts.
If you want to put people back in chains, you slowly start changing the education system.
Come on.
Okay, when you start changing the education system, then you start dumbing people down. That's why
Come on.
when Miss Gilbert and I
see it.
tell people, y'all need to read. Go look at these codes.
Oblivious.
Go look at them. They look at us
Oblivious.
like, well, I can get on my phone and look. No,
Mm.
put that phone
My
down
God, my
and go
God.
get that paper. Get you some paper. Feel them pages turning. Look and see what's going on. You know?
Wow.
That's why I say the celebration of intelligence must be embraced.
It must be.
Yes.
I totally concur. Now you need to type that in the comments, because
Yes.
I feel
So you can have celebration of
I
integrity.
was drawn because I love
Intelligence.
intellect. I love learning. I said I'm an avid reader. I want to know so that I'm not being one of these, I guess I call them these figureheads in office and positions that they're have no knowledge of really what's going on. They're just in a position. I don't ever want to just be in a position not making wise choices. So with that being said, we have to wrap it up. I love it. I love it. No, you have to go back into the comment section.
Yeah.
Celebration of intelligence. I love it. The celebration of intelligence. That is like the driving force for all of us, or it should be. It really should be the celebration of intelligence. We need to know what we know. And
you know what you can do?
Yes,
have a what is that? An award ceremony.
Yes. Oh, I can only have a few people that I can really think of offhand that I would give that to, because I know people in wonderful positions, and it's so unfortunate that their mindset is not to go and investigate. I don't want to be even a part. I don't want to even be in a conversation with someone, engaging in a conversation, and I don't know the facts. I don't want to be like that. So yes, I think we need to bring you guys back for an educational conversation and have people call in. That's what I was going to do. But Deirdre's journey was so interesting that I wanted her to speak as well. But we need to bring you guys back and have it where people call in and get a better understanding, because you said a lot of wealth of information, Deirdre, that people probably missed. But replay this video like and share, because the sharing is going to empower people with the wisdom they need to know.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you both so much for your time this morning coming on. Deirdre, many blessings to you. And we expect to see your name on the ballot in the very near future for the election again, because it's going to come up. Maybe this is going to spark someone to go and do their due diligence and look into the matter.
Hopefully.
And what about you, Avery?
Of course. Yes. You got people that's already angry right now.
Yeah, well, they should be. They should be, because what's happening is, like you said, dumb down. They're really playing with our intellect. They're playing on our intellect and saying they're not going to.
She said, what you say, play on words? What'd you say, ma'am? You told me it was play on words or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. And I want, another thing you want people to understand too, this was high. This was a high achievement that no one would ever imagine. But I say to people, don't let anyone tell you what you can't do.
Totally.
Because the basic qualifications as a governor were very limited. And it was just age and living in Texas for at least 5 years. So basically, I mean, the basic qualifications are there. There was nothing to say that you had to be blank, blank, and blank. Even as a justice of the peace, you don't have to be an attorney. So the thing is that we're not knowledgeable about what these qualifications are. And no one said that you had to sit on a board or that you had to be a millionaire.
Correct.
I think this is where we need to learn that we are fearful people. We can do, do what you can. Listen to what God tells you to do. And as hard as it is sometimes, you have to follow God's lead wherever that takes you. And at the end of this road, I have no idea what God has planned or what's getting ready to happen. But there's always a reason. Nothing's by happenstance.
Not at all.
My doing whatever I did wasn't just because I woke up one day and said, "Ooh," even though I did do that.
Yes,
but
yes.
It was planned. It was planned. It was something that God needed to be done. We're going to see what miracles that come out of this and changes that come out of what happened. I believe there's going to be some people handcuffed. I truly believe. I truly believe that there's going to be some things coming out that make people more, like Avery said, more people running for office who are knowledgeable about the rules and regulations and what they can do. And so
absolutely.
Let's just do this thing. And thank you again so much. If you have a show out on the water, I love water. Just let me know.
We can do it. We actually can do it. That would probably be the best place to do that type of form. Where
just sit out there like I did last weekend. I sat out there on Chemo on that boardwalk, and I just tell you, it was beautiful. The water, the boats, and just have a show.
I would love that. Hey, she just gave me another confirmation. That's a confirmation for me.
Okay.
I love being by the water. I love thinking by the water and receiving creative insight from God. So yes, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Be blessed. Avery, I just adore you for what I know you're standing for and doing for everyone. And I truly admire you, Ms. Deirdre. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming on a Simply Free Little Talk. Thank you, listening audience. We're all gonna sign off because I have another call to take. Thank you guys for the wealth of information. Okay. Bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
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 Bye.